Today we're going to be talking about some big advancements in the world of hearing aids. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Squires.
And I'm Dr. Carly Squires.
And this is Dr. Squires Squared.
This is a channel where we have candid and casual conversations about anything and everything audiology.
And if you're not sure what we're talking about, make sure to stick around, like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll tell you everything we know.
All right, everybody. So today, like Michael said, we are going to be discussing some important advancements in hearing aid technology. This came about, it was another question that I was asked on an interview, community event, just some questions about audiology and hearing and balance and hearing devices. So they asked me in my opinion, what were some of the biggest advancements in hearing aid technology in recent years. And so we've identified a few that we think are most important or that you may want to know about. So here we go.
That's it. I think going back a couple years, one of the biggest advancements that I know that we've seen since we've, gone through our residency here is rechargeability.
Yes.
For years and years and years, we've been switching batteries and changing little teeny batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many current patients and as well as many new patients are really happy to not have to change batteries anymore.
Yeah, I think that's when we get asked quite a bit, or someone will come in and say, well, so-and-so had hearing aids and all they did was change batteries.
Yep.
And that's kind of true because essentially at least once a week you would probably be changing batteries if you have hearing aids with disposable batteries in there. So that's not uncommon.
Nope.
But now the rechargeability is a much more convenient feature.
Sure. I mean, it costs a little bit more on the upfront to pay for the charging system and things like that. But over the lifetime of the hearing aids, boy, it can really save you a lot, not just convenience, but save you a lot of money as well. Mm-hmm. So rechargeability is one of those big things from a convenience perspective. It doesn't really change functionality of the devices, but as far as convenience is concerned, that was a big advancement.
Right. I will say, to touch on that, I have had several patients who have worn hearing aids for a long time that have preferred to stay with disposable batteries. And there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, a lot of my patients have made some really good points that I didn't really think about. In particular, I have one patient that decided to stay with the disposable batteries when he upgraded his technology because they do a lot of remote traveling and camping. And he didn't want to be stuck in an area where he may not be able to plug the devices in. So those are some things to consider with just your lifestyle and what would be most appropriate for you.
Right. And another example of that is, although it's not always advisable, we do have some patients that prefer to sleep in their hearing aids, or at least one hearing aid. That doesn't leave any time to charge the batteries for the hearing aids. So if you've got rechargeable hearing aids, trying to cut out 4 hours of your day, or so to charge those batteries is really difficult. So being able to just change them on the spot is really handy. Some people just don't want to have to worry about a dead hearing aid and having to get it back to a charging station. Right. The availability of just switching out a battery is really handy.
Yes, but nevertheless, rechargeability is a great advancement in hearing aids. So that's number one.
The second big advancement that we were going to talk about today is adding a third microphone to the hearing aid system. So historically, in-the-ear hearing aids or behind-the-ear hearing aids are either using one or two microphones. Just in recent years, Resound came out with a new hearing aid with a receiver called the Marie receiver, which stands for microphone and receiver in the ear.
Correct.
What that means is that they're actually putting a third microphone down into the ear canal with the loudspeaker, which can really help in some of those noisy situations because it is funneling sound, or I should say picking up sound that is funneled into the ear canal more naturally.
Right, so it allows you to use what we call the pinna effect, which this is your pinna. And so it is put there to funnel sound, like Michael said, into your ear canal. And so then that little microphone, that Resound is adding on the receiver, so the wire that comes down into the ear, there are microphones back here, but they're adding one here. And again, that just creates some advantages to being able to use those natural properties of the ear. One thing to point out, not everyone is a candidate for that.
Right.
So there's a fitting range, and so there are some things we look at as audiologists to say, well, yeah, this would be a great option for you, but it is not for everyone necessarily.
Right, and I think that having a third microphone kind of gives the perception to some patients that it's going to be louder or something like that, and that's not actually how it works. The hearing aids are smart enough to actually toggle between microphone configurations based on the environments that we're in. So whether it's a quiet environment, a noisy environment, whether the noise is on the one side or the other or behind you, those microphones are constantly changing their configuration. The third microphone just gives extra options for those configurations to help the patient understand in quiet and in background noise.
All right, so number 3 advancement in hearing aids in recent years, we have identified as Bluetooth.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. We get asked all the time, hey, I heard hearing aids can connect to my phone. Is that true?
Yep.
And in most cases, yes, it is. Most hearing aids now do have the capability to connect via Bluetooth with a cell phone. And it's important to remember, we'll go into it a little bit, but the hearing aids are made for a phone, Bluetooth. So it's not necessarily going to allow direct connection Bluetooth from your hearing aids to a smart television.
Yeah, or to any Bluetooth device.
Or to any Bluetooth device. Yes, it is made for the iPhone or for the Android.
Exactly. And the other distinction there is that there's 2 different ways of using Bluetooth on a phone, or Bluetooth with hearing aids in a phone. First and foremost is streaming. I think that's what most people are really interested in. Can I accept phone calls or listen to media or music or something like that through my hearing aids, which really helps a patient what?
I'm laughing because this one streams a lot with his hearing aids. And I will be talking to him, and I don't know that he's streaming. So there's also a way that you can ignore your wife with them too.
or get in trouble. As you know, it's just kind of the same thing. But in reality, streaming is one of those really important features because it helps to enhance music or voices on the phone and makes that communication much easier.
Right.
The second distinction there is Bluetooth to like an app that's made from the manufacturer that's specific to the hearing aids, where you can change your volume, or sometimes there's like a little equalizer control. And in many cases, there's a Find My Hearing Aids portion on that app, which can really save, you talk about getting in trouble, it can really save your hide, from your spouse finding out that you lost your hearing aid.
Yep, and we do know that it works.
It does work.
I
can vouch for that. The 4th big advancement that we're going to talk about today is machine learning and or artificial intelligence. So those 2 things are different, but they're kind of, in a hearing aid world, they're kind of packaged in the same way. The artificial intelligence or machine learning either comes in the form of one of those hearing aid apps that we talked about, or in some cases, it can happen within the processing of the hearing aid.
Right. So essentially what we're talking about with artificial intelligence, machine learning, or AI, where a machine, like a phone or the hearing aids, are remembering certain things that you do, collecting data about what you're doing to basically tailor the experience, your hearing experience through those devices.
Exactly. It's making changes or making decisions about your listening needs on your behalf. It's not something that you have to push buttons to change. If you're making changes to volume or using programs a certain way, it remembers those changes per those environments. And each manufacturer approaches this a little bit differently, so it's kind of manufacturer or hearing aid specific, but it really, really has made big strides in the world of listening and background noise or speech understanding.
Right, and I think on that topic, again, pretty much every hearing aid manufacturer has a version of machine learning or AI, but one in particular is Oticon with their newest product. And so they use actually some deep neural networks, or DNNs. So let's talk a little bit about that, just so that everyone understands what that is and why it's different than machine learning.
Well, deep neural network takes machine learning and artificial intelligence kind of to the next level. Basically, deep neural networks are designed to process sound similar to the way the auditory system in the brain processes sound. So what they've done is they've taken millions of sound samples of speech. So men's voices, women's voices, and everything that fills the spectrum in between. So what the hearing aids are now trained to do is put sound through a deep neural network. The deep neural network is mining that network to find matches for speech sounds. So what it can give you on the other side, or I guess a better way to say that is give your brain on the other side, is a clearer and more concise speech signal, even in background noise.
Right. And I think, shout out to Jeannie, our Oticon rep, for explaining it this way, but this is the way it made sense to me the most, is when she used the example of the post office sorting.
Yeah.
So what the post office does is they have all these samples of handwriting, because I write differently than you write, but that machine takes all those samples and they know when that envelope comes in what it says based on that. And so that's kind of what's happening in this case, only with speech.
Yep, exactly. Everybody pronounces or produces speech in a different way. So that deep neural network is designed to identify what that speech is and deliver it in a way where it's actually able to be heard and it can rise above the background. Really, in background noise, all of these devices are designed to increase the signal to noise ratio. So what that means is take the signal or the speech and the noise and create a gap between them. The bigger the gap that we can create, the better your brain can understand that speech in background noise. The idea that a hearing aid is going to get rid of noise completely, that's a very difficult thing to do for a system like a hearing aid, which is a couple microphones, an amplification system and a loudspeaker.
Right.
So deep neural networks, artificial intelligence, and machine learning have all been used most recently for some big advancements in speech understanding and processing and background noise.
Right. All right, well, that's a wrap. So we've identified several advancements in our minds that are the big ones in hearing aid technology. If you have questions about any of the things we went over, some of it we could go into a lot more detail.
Yeah, definitely.
So let us know. Send us a message. Call the office. It's 304-428-2403. Send us an email, info@hearwv.com. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Do all the good stuff.
Yes.
And keep in mind, if you hear something here that intrigues you about maybe treating your hearing loss, just recognize that hearing aids now are not like hearing aids a long time ago. So we will probably touch on that in a future episode. These ain't your grandpa's hearing aids. So we want to make sure to increase accessibility for knowledge so that people feel more comfortable moving forward with their decision to treat their hearing loss. So we hope you liked what you heard and what you saw. And until next time.
Thank you.
See ya.